Good afternoon, everyone. For today's topic, we're going to discuss summary. But first, let me introduce our group. Hello, Anyong. This is Erich Cavite, Joanna Hobane, and yours truly, Alexa Perez. Introduction. When we do our research for our academic papers, we came across sources like journal entries or articles that contain information that is vital to our needs. Still, we don't usually need to use every single part of the text. We only need the most crucial information. We can go back more quickly to the important parts of the text if we first write a summary of it. As summarizing is an essential skill when researching, there are some things we need to consider. What parts of a text are usually the most important? And what do we look for when summarizing? In this lesson, we will learn more about what a summary is and what typically goes into a summary. Objectives. In this lesson, you should be able to do the following. Understand what a summary is and what it does, and identify what details should be included in a summary. Preparing to write a summary. Summarizing a text is distilling its essential concepts in a paragraph or two. This is an excellent practice to follow when you are conducting a research or a study. Summary has two goals. Number 1, to reproduce the key ideas and points of a text, identifying the general concepts that prevail throughout the entire piece. And number 2, to express these concepts and ideas with precise and specific language. When you summarize, you cannot rely on the language the author has used to develop his or her points, and you must find a way to give an overview of these points without your own sentences becoming too general. You must also make decisions about which concepts to leave in and which to omit, taking into consideration of your purposes in summarizing and also your view of what is important in this text. Kung binisayon pa nato, ining mag-summarize ka, dili ka dapat magsalig sa mga panultion na gihatag sa author. Ang buhaton dapat nimo kay magbuhat ka og kaugalingon nimong summary. Unya dili man jud nato malikaya na makagamit ka gani sa sorry words na nagapataas sa imong summary no. Maong mupili ka sa mga words na imong isulat ug hawaon ang unsa dapat natong tanggalon. When reading a text, there are two techniques you can use in order to prepare for writing a summary. The first technique is previewing. It is best to read any academic text with set goals in mind, especially when you plan to summarize it later on for research or study purposes. Doing so will allow you to be more focused on your reading and to pay more attention to the parts of the text that are important for your purposes. As a student, your primary purposes for reading are usually dictated by your course or track and the papers you are writing for your subject. Before you read a text in earnest, try the previewing technique first in order to better orient yourself to what you need from the text you're about to dive into. The next slide is a general list of steps or questions you can follow in order to preview a text. Note, not every step will be relevant to the text you are reading, and sometimes you might find yourself coming up with additional questions to ask or steps to follow. Number 1, do not skip the title. Make sure to read it as it is usually written to orient the reader and should provide a hint as to what the central concepts of the text will be. It is necessary to understand the text and find the general term. It means that when reading the title, it gives you an idea on what the topic is all about without reading it fully. Kailangan nimo basahon ang text without skipping the title, kay ang title ang gahatag og idea unsang sulod sa isa ka article. Kontahay, ang nakabutang sa title kay about endangered species. Maka-came up na ka og idea na about plants or animals ang istoryahan. Take a few moments to consider the subject matter. Have you read about this topic before? Where or when? What prior information about it do you already have? Or what can you guess? Is it connected in any way to something you've personally experienced? Do you already have opinions about a part or parts of this topic? When taking a few moments to consider the matter, it helps us to know whether we already have knowledge about this topic and add our own words when doing our summary. Inigsabton or himahimayon nimo ang isa ka topic, pareha sa title, maghatag kini og ideas sa imuha para makabuhat ka sa imuhang summary or ma-identify nimo unsa na klase na summary ang imong buhaton. Number 3. Who wrote the text? Do you already have information about the author? Is additional information on the author available in any part of the text, like the title page or the body of the text? If the author is a historical figure, what do you already know about him or her? Understanding the author's purpose help us understand what is the text all about. Also, make sure that the author of the text is well informed about the study they're writing about. Inig mangita kag topic, kailangan nimo sabton ang purpose sa author. For example, gi-assign mo sa teacher na magbuhat og thesis about engineering. Una ang inyong source na gikuhaan kay well-versed or suod ana na topic, or we must say na engineer jud siya. Ma-recognize nato na credible ang source. Number 4. Where was this text originally published? How was it published? How does it relate to the field of study it was written in? Who might be the audience for this kind of text? What could the audience expect to find in the text? It is usually important as it helps a great deal to understand what you're reading if you know something about the author. Same sa kung giingon gaina. Kung ma-recognize na to unsa ang purpose sa author, makabalo ka kung kinsa ang target audience, and makita sad nimo as gi-publish sa title page sa book. Number 5. When was this text originally published? Is there any connection between the time period in which it was written and the field of study in which it was published? Is the text historical, current, or possibly outdated? Were there any important events or significant trends during the time the text was written or published? As we continue to acquire new information and understanding on subjects, our older texts became less reliable. Even texts written as recent as a year ago can be discredited by another more recent study. Every time na nagadungag ang year or nagadungag ang bagong study na ginakailangan makagondak og research, nagadungag sad ang new resources na mas reliable or mas katuuhan kaysa sa past resources. Number 6. Read the chapter titles or the headings that section the article or text. What seems to be the general progression of ideas in the chapter titles or headings that separate the article into sections? Reading the chapter titles or heading make us know that headings and subheadings represent the key concepts and supporting ideas in the paper. Inigbasahon nato ang chapter titles, ginapasabot sa atoa ang key concepts ug supporting ideas na mabasa sa paper. Why has your teacher assigned this text? Where does it fit into the course or subject as a whole? What sort of facts and ideas are you expected to remember from this reading? Recognize that the teacher has a reason for giving you this assignment and for assigning this to you. Maybe your teacher knows what course or subject you specialize in and assigning similar assignment to you. Hindi mag-assign og work ang teacher sa tua means nakabalo ang teacher or na-recognize niya na makarelate ta ani na assignment ug makonect sa ato ang gikuha na strand.
So next is skimming and scanning. So in order to be more focused when reading a text, it is best to get a general overview of it before beginning to read thoroughly. By first skimming through a text, you can get an idea of its overall logical progression. Skimming can also help you determine which parts of the text need your utmost attention in order to achieve your purposes for reading the text. So scanning is similar to skimming, except you should have a more focused purpose. You are now skimming to find a particular fact or figure or to see if the text mentions a specific subject you are researching. Keep your specific goal in mind as you scan the text and try not to be distracted by other details. So, ang nakabutang diri na ang scanning is similar lang sa skimming. Pero kung himaya nato siya, ang difference sa duha is pag skimming, kay baligi paspasan ra nimo siya basa. Bali murag overview lang para makabalo ka sa general idea or thought sa topic. While ang scanning, kay need nimo siya sabton og himay-himayon para makita jud nimo ang purpose sa topic para masabtan nimo fully ang whole article para easy lang pag-summarize. The following slides are steps you can take when skimming. but they can be modified or adjusted to your comfort. So, first, before skimming, make use of the previewing techniques from the previous subsection. So, as Miss Alexa discussed the previewing techniques, this strategy helps you connect with what you read by creating a purpose and context for your reading. It also helps you to activate your knowledge base which aids comprehension. So, katong mga nabanggit kaganina ni Miss Alexa, need you to siya before skimming. So, the second one is carefully read the introductory paragraph or perhaps the first two paragraphs. So, as we all know, the introductory paragraph or opening paragraph introduces the main idea of the essay. It informs readers about the topic and why they should care about it, but also adds enough intrigue to get them to continue to read. Ask yourself what the point of the text appears to be and try to predict the direction of the coming explanations, arguments, and examples. So now the third one. Carefully read the first one or two sentences of each paragraph as well as the concluding sentence or sentences. So, kanang concluding sentence mo na siyang nag-summarize sa argument na imong nahimo in your preceding paragraph. Kanang concluding sentence kay essential jud na. That's why kanang like important jud siya. Yes. So, next slide. The fourth one, in between the opening and closing sentences, keep your eyes moving and try to avoid looking up unfamiliar words or terminology. A key point is that you don't need to interrupt your reading to look up every hard word right away in the dictionary. In fact, experts say it's actually better to guess first. Mark unfamiliar words. Your goal for now is to take in the overarching concepts and overall picture or pattern of the text. Nadyo'y instances na maka-encounter ta og mga words from Andromeda like mga words na wala ta kabalo nga nag-exist na dili jud ta kasabot. So it's either skip sa nato ang word and balikan lang or subton jud nato siyang namobagay sad siya sa phrase para makuha nato ang thought na ginapasabot jud ana na phrase or unsa ba. So, the fifth one, carefully read the concluding paragraph or paragraphs. What might the author's overall purpose be? Keep in mind that you may be mistaken, so be ready and willing to modify your answer if needed. Ang concluding paragraph kay makita sa last part sa essay na dapat basahon og sabton kay nadra ang overall like ang key points. And last but not least, the sixth one, finally, return to the beginning and do a more focused reading of the text. Be more mindful now of the complexities you might have missed in your skimming and try to fill in the gaps in your understanding. Keep your purpose in mind and remember what you need to retain. Use this to adjust your focus accordingly. Look up the terms you need to know or unfamiliar words that appear multiple times. So ang article or essay or unsa ba na imong basahon kay dili lang nato siya kasahon og basa in order to summarize it better. Dapat utruhon og basa and mag-focus jud especially sa parts or phrases na wala nimo nakuha. So that's all for skimming and scanning.
What is included in a summary? An effective summary should be able to condense a passage into a shorter form because it only communicates the essential facts of the original text. It is important for both research and writing because it can allow you to return to pertinent information much faster. Ang buot pasabot ana is matawag ra na og effective ang summary na imong gihimo kung ang sulod sa summary kay ngubo kay from the word should be able to condense a passage into shorter form. Nagapasabot na ini nga dapat ngubo jud ang summary kaysa sa original article. Unya,
Sa word pud nga, it only communicates the essential facts of the original text kay aside sa dapat ngubo ang summary, dapat pud nga ang nakasulat ra ini kay mga importante lang nga information tungkol sa imong gibasa na original article. Let's proceed to the next slide. What is and what is not included in a summary? Unsa dapat ang apilon ug dili apilon inig magbuhat og summary. Number 1. Include the title and the name of the author in your first sentence. So, in a summary, nag-start jud na siya og introductory sentence, no? Then, the title or the text title and author belongs to the introductory sentence. Bantog, which is why necessary jud siya na isulat sa first sentence, and then aside from that, inciting your author and its title, no, kay gina-allow niya for the readers to locate their sources and to avoid plagiarism. Number 2. The first few sentences of your summary should contain the author's thesis so that it is easier to recall what the key points of the text are. It will also make it easier to navigate through the summary. So, author's thesis is found within the first introduction paragraph. So, uban nagyapon sila sa author's name and the text title, no? So, meaning anang author's thesis is mauna siya ang main claim sa author about sa iyang gihimong topic. Nagaserve ni siya as a summarize that will be discussed throughout the entire piece. Naga-provide pud ni siya og background about the topic. Number 3. Often, longer articles are divided into subsections so that it is easier to organize information. In your summary, make sure to maintain the subsections and keep information with similar ideas close together so that they can be located more quickly when necessary. So, in longer article, it is divided into subsections kay tungod ginakuha ra niini ang major points sa text. So sa imong gihimong summary, naa-jud dira ang subsections sa longer article na naga-contain og major points sa text. Maong make sure jud nga duol ra ang mga information na naay similar ideas to each other para mas dali sa readers ang pag-follow sa arguments, and then mas masabtan nila ang flow sa ila gibasa. Number 4. Omit specific examples unless they are extended definitions that are not central to the text. Do not be pressured into thinking that you have to recreate the author's exact train of thought. However, be careful in omitting too much and warping the author's original intentions. So, kailangan i-omit o ihawa ang mga unnecessary examples since ang summary kay nagahatag dapat sa readers og accurate na idea about sa original article. And then, in omitting, be careful lang since omitting too much may cause na matwist ang original intention sa author og dili na siya mamao. Number 5. In general, omit specific examples unless it is an extended definition that is integral to the author's argument. If the purpose of the example is to provide clarification, then it can be omitted. In general, no, kay i-omit lang tong mga details na minor lang kanang dili kayo importante. But there are some cases nga ang extended examples kay naa dira ang key parts sa argument. So, it is needed nga dili siya i-omit. So, don't omit if importante siya. Number 6. Avoid opinions or personal responses in your summaries. A summary should only contain the author's ideas. Save your own thoughts for your actual paper. So, when reading an article, no, it can be easy and feel natural when summarizing an article to include our own opinions. When reading, we may agree or disagree sa unsay ginasulti sa author and want to add your own opinion in it. or kaya we may want to compare the information with the information presented in another source. But if himuon ni nimo, it no longer correctly represents the original text. So, mamislead imong readers about sa ideas presented sa text. Number 7. Be careful not to plagiarize the author's words. To avoid plagiarism, try writing the first draft of your summary without looking back at the text. This is to ensure that you are more reliant on your own words and your own understanding of the text rather than the author's words. So, the original text should not be copied. Remember na ang summary kay it should be written in your own words. Dili dapat i-copy but instead pwede nimo ni siya i-translate or i-paraphrase. If needed i-include ang original text, dapat butngan og quotation mark para mailhan nga sa authors ni og dili sa imo para ma-avoid ang plagiarism. Let's proceed to the last slide and let's wrap it up. A summary is a shorter and more condensed form of a text, and this is a good practice to follow when conducting research or studying. The goals of a summary are to reproduce the key ideas of a text, to identify the important points that are found in it, and to express these ideas with precise and specific language. A proper summary can be used to help you return to pertinent information you might need for academic writing. So that's the end for lesson 1, what is a summary, and let's proceed to lesson 2, techniques in summarizing text.